We have a treat for you today. We're in Christiana, Tennessee at Bloom & Joy Flower Farm. We're looking at some beautiful flowers here.
Yeah, so I actually planted a lot of these plants just last spring. During the pandemic, when we all had to stay home, I got to work planting over 1,000 perennials here in my gardens and building it out. So this is actually one of my favorite areas on my farm right now because the alsia or hollyhocks are blooming. So they are biennials, and so last year they were just big green beautiful foliage, but this year I am seeing the fruits of my labor and they are blooming right now. This particular variety is from the Halo series. It is called Lavender, and I purposely planted it really close to one of my favorite roses. This particular rose is called Easy on the Eyes. Now this particular rose is about 3 years old now. This is one of the first plants I planted when we moved into our house after we built it. And I love how the purples are really colliding into each other, and I just think it makes it look gorgeous.
Kara, we're all familiar with phlox, but this is a new one for you. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is a fairly new phlox hybrid. It actually blooms a couple weeks sooner than tall garden phlox does. This particular variety is called Fashionably Early Crystal, and it's quickly become one of my favorite varieties. So I actually just planted the plant last spring. This is 3 plants right here, and it has quickly exploded. I use this one a lot as a cut flower, and this year each plant had at least 30 stems on it for me, which is a lot. So this flower is actually, it's on its way out right now, as you can see, but around Mother's Day, it looked like white clouds blooming that was just absolutely gorgeous.
Is this as fragrant as the other phlox?
It is not. Okay. It is just slightly fragrant. No, it does not have like an overpowering, beautiful scent like normal phlox. But this plant is very vigorous, I am finding. It's really spreading, which is fine if you have that in certain areas, but just make sure that if you plant a plant like this, that you're being mindful of what you have planted near it, because I think this is going to...
And let's talk about this.
Okay. This is also another very favorite plant of mine. This one is called Onyx and Pearls Penstemon, and it is actually almost done flowering. You can see some tiny little flowers right here, and our honeybees absolutely loved it. Oh, they loved it this year. But one of my very favorite things about this plant is after it flowers, the stems turn into pods just like this, and I actually cut these pods and I use them in my flower arrangements. I use them in boutonnieres. I used them in my fresh Christmas wreaths that I made last year. They were really great.
Kara, what's this pretty little white pom-pommy flower?
That is called Peter Cottontail Achillea. It really resembles baby's breath to me, but it is a lot better in my opinion. I love its nice long stems, and it's got a really full but small circular head to it that really adds a great pop in bouquets.
We're standing in your favorite garden on your property. And what do you call this garden?
I call this the Barnyard garden because it is right in front of all of our barnyard animals.
And this is beautiful. Tell us about this.
So this is called a blue glitter eryngium. Anytime I show this plant, people are like, what is it? So it is actually a thistle flower. Never dreamed I'd grow a thistle as a cut flower, but it's actually quite popular in the floral design world. Other people call it sea holly as well, but what I use it for is it's actually great in wedding bouquets, but it also dries just like this when I cut it from the plant, and it's great in boutonnieres.
While you were talking about dried flowers, over your shoulder you have quite a few different varieties that you use for fresh and then you let some of it dry, you were telling me?
Yes, so I am growing statice and strawflower, which are excellent for drying.
And you're doing annual statice. Do you grow particular colors because you want to use it in particular things, or you just get a package of mixed and let it go?
So this year I decided to just get a mix. And in my mix this year there's a lot of yellow, purple, and just a little bit of white growing for the statice. For my straw flower, I'm growing a beautiful blush rose color.
Why are your flowers all planted pleasing to the eye and not in straight rows like traditional flower farmers do?
So when I started in 2018, I thought that's what I was supposed to do, was plant straight rows everywhere. But I just discovered over time that that just didn't inspire me quite as much as the garden design does. What I really love to do with the cut flowers I grow is design with them. A lot of flower farmers cut them and they wholesale them out. I don't really do that. I actually create custom designs with all mine. So I figured out planting them in a garden fashion really inspires me to go out there and create, just seeing all the different plants mingled together.
So as your barnyard garden evolved, what was your first shrubs, right here?
Yes, so the very first thing that I planted in the barnyard garden about 2 years ago were these limelight hydrangeas. I wanted to have a big statement piece against our fence that we actually installed as well. And so the limelight hydrangeas went in, mixed with, there were daffodils in between them, but they are done for the year. And next, I knew that I also wanted another statement piece to stagger in between all of the limelight hydrangeas too. So I have added all of these gorgeous perennial hibiscus.
Good for summer color too.
Excellent. So I really don't use the perennial hibiscus as a cut flower. They don't really hold up quite as well. And so what I mainly use these for is to look great all summer, because once they start blooming, they are so prolific and keep blooming until our first frost. Another statement piece that I have in this garden are all of the garden roses that I have throughout here. And one of my very favorite garden roses is this Olivia Rose Austin garden rose right here. It's very prolific, it gets very big. It's a favorite one to use in my arrangements.
Do I see lettuce in here as well?
I do. I have a very small, cool season vegetable patch.
Okay.
I've got broccoli and I've got lettuce. I have got cabbage all in there. This is my favorite garden to be in. So I wanted to plant it in here mixed with my flowers because I just love being in here.
So you do annual seeds in here also, Kara?
I do. So since this section right here is just a year old, my goal with this section is to actually have it all grow into each other and be lush and full. But that also means that I also still have some open space, which means some weeds can grow, and I am trying to avoid all of that. So I actually interplant a lot of annual seeds in here. Like I've got a beautiful Cosmo plant coming up that I started from seed. I also have different types of cut flower sunflowers in here. I love to use the Pro Cut series, the yellows, the plums, and the white knights. And then I also planted zinnias in here. Definitely a summer staple flower.
Well, we've moved to another garden again, and the hollyhocks are performing and showing really pretty for us. And I see you have some annual seeds down here, and this is going to be part of your cutting garden?
Yeah, so I actually interplanted zinnias right in front of all of these beautiful hollyhocks right here to give me, you know, something great to look at once the hollyhocks die down.
And you were saying this is just, you have a sunflower cutting garden as well?
I do.
Okay. And what is your favorite fresh cut?
My favorite fresh cut flower, it probably has to be phlox.
Okay, all right.
Because of the nice clusters, it's pretty big and full and really fills out a vase arrangement, and it has a nice scent to it.
Well, Kara, I want to tell you thank you. It's been wonderful today.
Yes, thank you.
We've got to enjoy quite a few gardens and quite a few different varieties of flowers. It's been wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.